Hello, everyone. I first want to thank the College Sports Research Institute Conference for giving me the opportunity to present on my current research and to everyone that's viewing this presentation. My name is Tyler Skinner, and I am a first-year doctoral student at the University of Georgia, studying under Dr. Steve Salaga. My presentation today is on upper echelons and the impact of NCAA Division I AAA athletic directors on men's basketball performance. So just to start the introduction, to begin, the managerial impact on organizational performance has been studied across diverse academic contexts. For example, scholars in the business literature, ranging from management to human resources to finance, frequently study top management teams. A specific theory that is utilized when studying this relationship is the upper echelons theory. This theory was introduced into the strategic management literature in 1984 by Hombrick and Mason. Upper echelons theory can be briefly described as the relationship between managerial characteristics and organizational outcomes. As mentioned in the last slide, the manager performance relationship literature in management, strategy, finance, and other business fields is widely published and cited across a variety of contexts. For example, finance research by Bantel and Jackson produced results indicating that banks which are more innovative are managed by more educated teams. Jalbert, Rao, and Jalbert studied CEOs from the Forbes 800 list and found a positive association between educational attainment and quality with the return on assets and Tobin's Q of their firm, which are both common metrics used to evaluate profitability and valuation. The leadership literature positions leaders in sport as analogous to CEOs in other industries. Dufour, Preem, Rathburn, and Deere looked at the similarities between NFL head coaches and CEOs, where they found that both of these leaders must take responsibility for both operational and strategic decisions. They also both have variability in the amount of control they have based on the organizational structure of their respective firm. Both of these positions also clearly are subject to intense scrutiny and can be fired for poor performance, which is not entirely within their control. More specific to this project, intercollegiate athletic directors were studied by Greenberg and Everard, where they argued that intercollegiate athletic directors act as the CEO of an institution's athletic enterprise. The study further explains that athletic directors plan capital campaigns, master legal concepts, and sign multi-million-dollar agreements, which are tasks that are integral to the role of a traditional CEO. Despite not competing in football, which generates the most revenue among all intercollegiate sports, Division I institutions without football, also known as I-AAA programs, still view athletic directors as key stakeholders. For a little more context around the financial differences between the levels of NCAA Division I athletic programs, revenue information is presented below. As you can see, there's a wide range of annual revenues for I-AAA institutions. At the bottom of the annual revenue is Coppin State, which is a historically underfunded HBCU, with the top of the range being Providence, which has a rich basketball tradition driving this high revenue level. While the median revenue for I-AAA is much less than the FBS median, it is very much in line with FCS institutions, even though football is completely non-existent for I-AAA schools. This demonstrates that these schools have complex athletic departments with high revenues that require a savvy athletic director in order to be successful. While comprehensive compensation data at this level is not available, there are numerous examples which show the value I-AAA institutions place on the athletic director position. For example, the athletic director at the University of Vermont earns a yearly base salary that is higher than many other leaders at the institution, including academic deans, full professors, and other top administrators. This is also the case at the private institution, Seton Hall University, where the total yearly compensation of their athletic director is nearly $750,000 per year. This compensation is higher than all other key people listed on the institution's 994, with only the head basketball coach and university president earning more than the athletic director. This compensation level is also higher than the median for FBS athletic department heads, which shows that football is not necessary for an institution to highly value their athletic director. So now diving into the literature review. With this evidence that AAA athletic directors are important to stakeholders at their institutions and are relevant to study, I will dive into the theory behind the project. Upper echelons theory was introduced into the management literature by Hambrick and Mason in 1984. Their overall finding was that there's a significant relationship between background characteristics of managers and the outcomes of the organizations which they led as members of the top management team. Their original theoretical model is presented below. The elements of this model include the objective situation, which includes both external and internal factors, the managerial background characteristics, which include psychological ones, such as biases and values, as well as observable ones, such as age, career experience, education, and socioeconomic background. Strategic choices, which can include innovation, diversification, integration, among others, is the next element, with performance being measured by factors such as profitability and growth. Hambrick published an update evaluating his original upper echelons theory paper in 2007, where he finds that the theory generally holds and that managerial characteristics will become reflected in strategy and performance. Wang, Holmes Jr., O, and Zhip published a meta-analysis studying over 300 previously conducted articles on the theory and looked at the most commonly studied characteristics, strategic actions, and performance measures. In this meta-analysis, they found that psychological and observable characteristics are often significantly related to firm performance. While upper echelons theory is thoroughly studied in the business literature, the research is extremely limited within the context of sport. However, Hambrick and Mason in 1984 laid out the theory to be generalizable to industries outside traditional corporate for-profit organizations, which bodes well for its use in sport. One of the first papers utilizing this theory was from Wang and Dubert, where they studied general managers in Major League Baseball and found that playing and coaching experience of general managers declined over the 20-year period studied, while at the same time educational background increased. While the paper did not present much empirical data past the above finding, it is still a starting point for exploring the theory within the context of sport. Jurevich, Salaga, and Babiak utilized upper echelons theory in their study on general managers in the National Basketball Association, in which they find a positive relationship between general manager technical experience and education on both winning and efficiency. The paper sums their findings up as being relevant for team ownership and suggests a link between organizational performance and the personal characteristics of league GMs. Salaga and Jurevich also studied race, employment tenure, and team performance utilizing the theory, and found that non-white head coaches experience longer employment spells relative to white head coaches, as well as that employment tenure and dismissal are largely driven by raw performance. Peter, Salaga, and Jurevich also studied MLB managers / also known as head coaches and general managers, and found that both middle and upper managers retain a meaningful impact on firm performance. Research on upper echelons theory in sport is limited to these above studies, while the literature on upper echelons theory and athletic directors and intercollegiate athletics as a whole is non-existent. The population for this study are NCAA Division I institutions which do not sponsor football, also known as I-AAA schools. These institutions are diverse and range from large flagship publics to regional comprehensive institutions to private universities. A few examples showing this range include Creighton, UC Irvine, Denver, Gonzaga, University of Illinois Chicago, Vermont, and Winthrop. Since these universities do not sponsor football, the revenue sport of men's basketball is their overarching priority when it comes to athletics. We are also able to collect comprehensive athletic director data at the nearly 100 Division I schools that fit into this category from 2003 to 2018, allowing for the ability to measure how the personal characteristics of athletic directors are related to the performance of the units they lead. As you can see on this map, there are 96 I-AAA institutions to be studied. In addition to the institutional type diversity discussed on the previous slide, it can also be seen that there is a wide geographic diversity of these institutions. The functional form of our model is displayed below, where organizational performance is a function of athletic director operational decision-making plus AD personal characteristics plus AD technical, or in this case, playing/coaching experience, plus AD relevant management or functional experience, plus institutional characteristics, plus finally NCAA Division I environmental factors. The independent variables of interest in this study are the observable characteristics described by Hambrick and Mason, which includes career preparation, athletic coaching, and playing experience, demographics, and lastly, socioeconomic background. The outcome variables measured for these institutions include final yearly KenPom ranking, yearly offensive and defensive efficiency, regular season conference championships, conference tournament championships, postseason success, and men's basketball revenue. Other data were also collected to control for the potential effect coaches, institutional leadership, or institutional characteristics may have had on the outcomes of interest. Below is the theoretical model for the study, which is based on Hambrick's and Mason's original model. The objective situation is the current NCAA Division I environment, which includes factors such as recruiting, player development, and institution. The four hypotheses, which I'll go into further detail in the next slide, are listed under upper echelons background characteristics. The focus on each hypothesis is on athletic director education, technical experience, age, and socioeconomic background, respectively, with how each one of these relates to organizational performance. Age is the only one of these hypothesized to be negatively related to performance, while the other three are hypothesized to hold a positive relationship. Strategic choices include operational decision-making, with the already mentioned performance metrics including year-end rank, winning percentage, conference and postseason success, and revenue. The four hypotheses presented in the previous model all have support in the existing literature. The first hypothesis, that ADA education will be positively related to organizational performance, along with the second hypothesis that AD technical, also known as athletic coaching and playing experience, will also be positively related to organizational performance. These are both supported in the literature by Jurevich et al., since they are positively related to winning and efficiency. Athletic director age is hypothesized to be negatively related to organizational performance, with support for this being found by Klein and Orr in their examination of S&P 1500 firms. Finally, the last hypothesis is AD socioeconomic background will be positively related to organizational performance. The meta-analysis by Wang et al. On upper echelons theory described earlier finds that CEO education is positively related to performance, which couples with Kinsler and Pavin's findings that educational opportunities and educational quality are positively tied to a higher socioeconomic background. For the first outcome variable, we will use year-end ranking utilizing KenPom year-end ranking data, which is also known as adjusted efficiency margin. This is simply the difference between a team's offensive and defensive efficiency and represents the number of points the team would be expected to outscore the average Division I team over 100 possessions. Larger values of this variable indicate higher levels of adjusted efficiency margin. Traditional measures of success will also be used as outcome variables. These include regular season winning percentage, both overall and in conference, regular season conference championships, conference tournament championships, and postseason results. Finally, revenue is an important measure of performance and will be the last outcome variable evaluated. This is relevant as the traditional budgeting model in NCAA Division I athletics allows the athletic director to spend equal to the amount of revenue the unit generates annually, which comes from Fort 2016. For additional context, the I-AAA median for men's basketball is just over $2.5 billion per year, which is 16% of total athletic revenues. The FBS median is about $7.5 million a year, which is about 9.6% of total revenues, with FCS median for men's basketball being just over 1.6 million or 9.5% of their overall athletic revenues. This further illustrates the importance men's basketball plays at the I-AAA institutions, as their revenue makes up a percentage of their overall athletic revenue that is nearly double the percentage that makes up at the average FBS or FCS institution. As shown in our model, independent variables to be studied include career preparation, coaching and playing experience, demographics, and socioeconomic background. For career preparation, educational attainment level, degree major, and rank are all collected. Coaching and playing experience includes not only overall experience, but also experience specifically in the sport of basketball. Demographic information to be collected are race, age, gender, and squared age. Finally, socioeconomic background information can be collected by both collecting the median income of the zip code in which the athletic director attended high school, as well as the median parental income for the undergraduate institution attended by the athletic director. In addition to the dependent and independent variables described above, we will also collect data to control for potential effects that coaches, institutional leadership, or other institutional characteristics may have on outcomes of interest. If the theory holds, there will be a positive relationship between the background characteristics of education, technical experience, and socioeconomic background with these outcome variables of year-end ranking, winning percentage, postseason success, revenue, etc. The anticipated exception to this is age, where a negative relationship between it and the outcome variables is expected. For the analysis of our data, a two-stage panel regression model will be used. Revenue is expected to be an endogenous predictor of organizational performance. For the first stage regression, revenue will be the dependent variable, with predictor variables being endowment and undergraduate enrollment. The residual from the first stage will then be entered as a predictor variable in the second stage model. Dependent variables for the second stage include the KenPom adjusted efficiency margin, winning percentage, conference success, and postseason success. So overall, while the literature on upper echelons theory and management and other fields is highly developed, there is limited work examining its applicability to sport. It has also not been examined at all in the intercollegiate athletics literature. It is anticipated that this project will inform decision makers regarding which characteristics are important for the successful selection of athletic directors. This can overall improve their own understanding of the relationship between an executive's personal characteristics and overall organizational performance. Thank you again to the College Sports Research Institute for allowing me to have this opportunity to present my current project. I also would like to thank everyone who has viewed my presentation and would really appreciate any feedback, questions, or other comments on this work. I can be contacted through my email at tyler.skinner@uga.edu. Thanks again, everyone. I really appreciate it.